You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on Social Impact Power Chats.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, as you know, our time is quick. And so we're just going to jump right in. And if you could help us understand how you got into this work, this impact work, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so I've been in impact, I guess, my whole career. So it's been 16, 17 years. After college, I knew I wanted to do something in the impact space. I really wanted to do international work. I didn't know how to do it. And I ended up coming across the website for the Peace Corps. And it seemed just like an awesome way to get overseas, get some experience, and kind of have some hand holding along the way. So I joined the Peace Corps right out of college. I was in Mali in West Africa for a few years. Totally life changing, both like professionally and personally. My husband and I met in Mali. He's Malian, so he came over here after. So that like definitely changed the trajectory of that. But after the Peace Corps professionally, I knew I wanted to keep doing this work. So I ended up working for an environmental nonprofit. And I think during that time, I really saw the value of for-profit companies driving development. I'm a huge proponent of for-profit companies really being at the forefront of development. So I switched over to the for-profit side, was at Amazon and AWS for a bunch of years, building out global social impact programs. And now I'm at Chime. Chime's a fintech company based on the idea that banking services should be free and easy and accessible. And so I came on to build out what social impact looks like for Chime. I've been here for about 2.5 years.
Amazing. So tell us about that. What's your day to day? What is your sort of raison d'etre? And how are you making
Yeah.
impact happen at Shine?
Yeah, I mean, day to day is always something new and different. So the last couple of years been really working on building out like what is our strategy. Um, Chime focuses on core financial products, and so what I think about is what are all these other barriers to financial progress, and what stops people outside of these core banking services, which are really important. And so how can we, as a company, help break down some of those barriers? So the focus is on three different areas. I really like think financial progress is being able to earn more money, being able to spend less than you make, and then investing that difference, whether that be in wealth building, whether that be in yourself. So I build programs around those three areas. I do volunteer work for Chime. So we're a Pledge 1% company, both for future equity and for our employee time. And so figuring out how we can leverage all the amazing expertise we have. And then some other core programs that I do that are focused on how do we keep financial progress moving forward. So natural disaster support is a program that I've built up because natural disasters can be financially devastating. So day to day, things look different. It's meeting with partners, it's meeting with all sorts of internal folks and figuring out how we can get more impact into our products, how we can roll out programs, meeting with community stakeholders, lots of meetings and relationship building, and then a lot of program management.
Amazing. So, in your tenure, you've worked in some of the biggest global companies in the world. You've been able to be in community all over the world. And now you're in, sort of, I imagine like a more kind of nimble entrepreneurial environment. I'm wondering if you can tell us like the tie that binds, like what is advice
Yeah,
that
yeah,
has
yeah.
served you throughout this whole trajectory? And certainly we could like double click into specifics based on like which institution you're part of, but I'm sure there's something that you've learned that you're like tried and true no matter where I am, like this is how we get good work done. I'd love to get that wisdom.
Yeah, I think I've only recently come to realize this that like I see myself definitely, but a lot of this work as being like a bridge builder. So coming from the nonprofit side, it was really hard for me because it felt like that direct in community connection was lost. But I think I've come to realize the incredible opportunity of connecting resources from a for-profit company with communities, with other organizations to really accelerate and amplify what they're doing. Chime, and I don't think this is unique just to Chime, right? Any for profit company has sort of these core superpowers. And so, how are you leveraging those to accelerate the
Mm.
folks on the ground that are doing the work is something that I think I have tried to like centralize my career around that. And I think being a community builder, and this was This is something that I think has shifted a bit in the landscape of it used to be companies kind of they want to go at it alone, they want their name recognition on this initiative. And I think there's been a shift more towards, hey, we need to collaborate and we need to do these things together. And so helping to build those relationships and those coalitions, I think is something that I try now to bring with me regardless of the company or the role where I am. Because I think that that's really the magic kind of sauce. And that's why at Chime, like we work with not just nonprofits, we also work with for-profit companies. We give pro bono services, we give money, we amplify voices of for-profit companies too that are doing complementary work to ours. Because I think that that's
Yeah.
really how the development happens.
It's so smart. And I think, you're totally right. Even in the last 2 years, I've seen so many more companies joining arms with other even
Mhm.
competitors, because it makes sense
Yep.
and because the work matters. And I think that when you have people who are like real impact leaders, that's an important KPI. Like, did we actually move the needle here? And if we could move the needle better by working with X, Y, or Z company, that's a worth it move. So I love that. And I think it's 100%. So again, kind of going back to this, like, give somebody advice who's having coffee with you,
Mhm.
what would be like your pump up speech to say, okay, you're about to go speak to your senior leader to say we should go and do a call with XYZ competitor? Like, what would be the pep talk you'd give that person? Like, how would you recommend being successful in those conversations?
Yeah, I think know the goals of the people you're talking to and figure out how you can help them reach their goals better. So I think that I have this internal struggle too of how do we have this work be pure in meaning, right? Like you want to always work backwards from your customer. You don't want to be working backwards from business goals because then neither will happen. But you need to connect the work to business goals to make sure that it's sustainable and make sure there's buy-in and even the best leader who's doing this just because it's great, if you're connected with those business leaders, you're going to get much more buy-in, much more resources. So I would say like know the goals of everyone else and figure out how this work can help drive their goals because that's really how you're going to get the most buy-in, right? You're going to maybe get buy-in by just saying this is the right thing to do or this is good storytelling for the company. But I think when you can start to connect some of those pieces, then you really get some magic and you get the work so woven into the fabric of the company that it's very difficult to then have that be removed or cut or kind of not invested in later on down the line because we all know that this can be easy work to cut out if when times get tough. I think we've seen that in cycles. And so, yeah, how can you solve other goals and make sure that your goals are getting done too? And people won't say no to that. I've never had anyone be upset or not be bought in when I show them how this work can help solve their goals in a really efficient way.
So strategic and smart. Excellent advice that I hope inspires many people. And it really does. It makes it sticky because ultimately then you have a co-venture with an important person within the organization. So love it. And I can't believe, we're already in our last question, but power chats go fast. For our final question, I'd love to hear from you. What is like on your next step horizon? Like, where do you see impact going? Where are you doubling down? So totally, hear you on all the great things that are already underway. Is there anything new or interesting that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on this, but I think the idea of impact no longer being this separate thing from the rest of the company is going to start to take hold more. I think, especially with technology moving the way it is, there's such an intersection of this work and how people think about reaching their customers and building customer base and making sure that they're having loyalty in their customers. So I think that that's going to continue. And the more that we can weave this into the core fabric of a company, the more that's just going to accelerate the work even faster. I see like in Mali, we were there this past year. We go back and visit a bunch and everyone was using Orange, the cell phone company, to like transfer money and basically like a bank account. And I think, I'm in financial services and I see Like they totally skipped over like credit cards and physical bank accounts. And now suddenly they're just doing these bank accounts on their cell phone credits and thinking about that from a social impact lens, like the access that that creates. And so my job, I think about my job then as the equity piece of how do we make sure that people are getting equitable access.
Well, I think that's an incredible note to end on. I hope it becomes true. I love that vision and really appreciate you chatting today. So thank you.